is a gays only event. Go home. Meep meep.
Going off with RC and Mues. Yo, Mues, what's going on with you today? Tell me what goes on.
I'll tell you what goes on.
Well,
I came out as non-binary a few months ago, I want to say. But just so the audience knows, for future reference, my pronouns are they, them. So if you're leaving a comment...
Yeah, and so now people can say they are an asshole when they don't agree with your opinion, you know?
They're the most annoying part of the show. I wish RC would do a show by himself.
Stop it! Stop it.
You're right, I was wrong. They don't want you to do one by yourself. They just want it to be with somebody else.
Stop.
A one-person podcast, man, like... I'm trying to think if I even listen to any one-person podcasts.
I have tried to listen to, like, one-person podcasts, and it's so weird, because it's like, it's just you telling me, like, when you were recording it, you were just talking to, like, your notes, like, what, you know?
I just realized, it's so funny, I just said one-person podcast. That's every, like, radio show.
Yeah, when you think about it.
If it isn't, like, a zoo crew morning... Because then it's always at least two people to bounce shit off of, and then they got a couple interns and news talk and stuff like that. It's just one guy, so you hear a guy... Hold on a second. Do I have... Yeah, hold on. I want to make this authentic. Right, so... See this one thing, and... they did this one thing, and I can't fucking believe it! You know, no one's doing this shit anymore! It's like... But, did I ever tell the audience that I interned for a conservative radio show for, like, months?
Are you doing a bit, or are you telling us the truth right now?
This is straight out of the archives. This is, this is the real shit. This is the genuine article when I was in college.
Son of a bitch. Muse was fucking working for Rush Limbaugh. Ain't that a bitch? Caught you!
When I was in college and I was in taking broadcasting classes, I needed a internship credit to graduate. So I applied to different radio stations, and none of them were interested. And the only one that actually called me back and was interested was the local news talk station in Charlotte. Former Governor Pat McCrory, who just announced that he'll be running for Senate soon. Mr. HB2, Mr. Voter ID Law himself. So at that time, Pat McCrory was not doing mornings, though, at the time. This was 2008. It was the season of the 2008 elections, so...
Oh, wow.
I was actually there the night of election night while they were getting their results in, and Obama was named president. Yeah, luckily was able to... sit in on the least conservative show on the channel. Like, it was just kind of a guy who was just kind of fucking around.
He's one of those, I just really want to pay less taxes types. And if that paying less taxes just happens to disadvantage minorities, you know, I don't really care, you know?
They did syndicate Rush Limbaugh until he fucking kicked the bucket, and I think they got,
Tooey.
I think they got Dan Bongino syndicated over there now. It's a shit show. I know they run, they have Ben Shapiro syndicated.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's taken a real considerable nosedive since my tenure. But anyway, we're gonna start out with a rock album, I assume. Is that the safe bet? We gotta talk about Faith No More and Angel Dust, requested by Dr. Goatman. Look, folks... Faith No More is not exactly a name that comes up very often, especially in 2021, especially in my regular rotation.
No doubt.
So, if you're wondering, what is it? Then, there's only one way to find out. We're going to have to talk about their 1992 album. I've never listened to it before. I'm familiar with the singles of theirs. Not anything off this, though. All this was brand new for me.
I only knew the what is it called? Because there's a rash of early '90s songs that are kind of experimenting with the sounds of hip hop, but they're rock songs sort of things. And I remember like the one that I messed with heavy was the "You're Unbelievable." Because it's like, oh yeah, it's sampling Andrew Dice Clay. Oh, that's kind of a cool thing for a rock song. You know what I'm saying? Being a little challenging. What was this song by them? It was Epic, right? I cannot remember how that fucking song goes ever. Like, it doesn't have anything that, like, sticks in my brain as, like, of all the, like, early 90s rock song. Oh, yeah, that's the Rage Against the Machine song. Oh, yeah, I remember that. This was always the one that is, like, it sounds like he's rapping, but I can't tell if he's, like, joking, like, mocking rap by how he's rapping, because it's so awkward and bad.
It is definitely, it's different. The only two songs of theirs I'm familiar with are Epic, which is the one you mentioned, and the other one, Falling to Pieces.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard
together.
That one. Yeah.
Where he's like a meat man in the video because his skin falls off. And in Epic, there's like, the ending of the video is like a piano explodes, and a fish is like flopping around. A lot of random shit.
Yeah, what does he say? You can hear it, feel it, it's out of sight.
It doesn't matter anyway.
Like, it's so like, what? Did you just start listening to rap from 1981 just now?
Mike Patton is he's an interesting case, man, because you listen to those early ones, and then you listen to this, and then you listen to his side project, Mr. Bungle, which is even fucking weirder and out there.
Oh, wow.
This album,
where does this go?
This album is you get a little bit of the old sound. You get a little bit of the Mr. Bungle mixed in, of the, well, I don't want to taint this project with it too much, but I'm really into this more grandiose, more show, like, epicness that I want to move in here. So that's why this album is a bit more bombastic, I guess, a bit more experimental.
He's going for the gothic sound with the synths that he's using that sound all dark and shit, and he's like trying to make it sound like super epic and whatever. But it comes off to me kind of like a Todd McFarlane sort of music.
Probably had a song on the Spawn soundtrack.
There is no doubt in my mind. Upon listening to this album, it's like, oh my god! Yeah, so you want to get into it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Do you just want to go through it in order, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's start with Land of Sunshine, one of two tracks written during Mike Patton's sleep deprivation experiment. Land of Sunshine and Caffeine were written during a sleep deprivation experiment, so...
As I listened to this for the first time, like I said, I'd only really heard that one song where it's like, rap but rock too. You're like,
rap and rock also.
I'm hearing the elements of what I do like in rap rock. Like, I'm hearing shit like System of a Down type of like, really in your face with the delivery, and he's speaking in ways that are kind of weird. He's not like just singing on the track. He's like doing little voices and stuff. But it's just too wacky. Like, I'm just listening to like, what is he saying? What is he talking about? And you know what it is? It's like, he's wacky with what he's saying, but the music still sounds relatively conventional. So it's just an odd juxtaposition in that way. Like, there's one lyric where he's like, does life seem worthwhile to you? Here's how to order. Does emotional music have quite an effect on you? Do you feel sometimes that age is against you? Sing and rejoice and sing and rejoice. And like,
during the sleep deprivation experiment, this was inspired by Scientology infomercials.
Oh no, I don't like this.
That's why it kind of sounds like a late night preacher infomercial trying to sell you something. It's specifically reference to those, I've never seen a Scientologist.
Yeah, Dianetics or something like that.
Yeah. It's so funny. When we film Riff Break, every so often commercials for Dianetics will show up, and you don't know what's going on. But it's always about halfway through the ad, you're like, this is Dianetics, isn't it? And then all of a sudden, it's snap cut to that CGI volcano shooting a copy of Dianetics out the top. And you're like, yeah! Called it!
Now, stuff like that always creeps me out, because it's just Like when you see those ads like that, because, you know, and it is kind of funny when you think about it, like, wow, television was just like, you know, a bunch of mini movies being shown to us, you know, when you look at what ads are, you know what I mean? And it's like whatever thematic thing is going for that they want to show you, here it is. And whatever the next thematic thing they want to show you, well, there it is. And so like most of the time you're just getting like, you know, commercials for, I don't know, water filters or some shit. And, you know, like, here's a hand reaching out and turning on the water. And wow, doesn't it look okay? Yeah, you know, it's antiseptic commercial. They all look the same. Da, da, da. And then every now and then you'll hear like that voice that sounds just slightly too serious. It's like, do you need something that's missing in your life? Come to, you know, you're just like, ugh, it just like adds a creep factor to it. It's like, no, this was just supposed to be normal, like mundane commercials. And now you're throwing in like very clear, like brainwashing propaganda that someone paid for, you know?
I thought Land of Sunshine was an okay, if not a little hokey.
Right.
I thought it, along with a lot of tracks on the album, at least had a good instrumental. I thought this one actually had a great instrumental. I was really digging it. Same with Caffeine, too.
Oh, yeah, there's some tracks in here where they, like, switch stuff up, like the musical timing and things like that, and it's like, oh, that's just cool that that's happening, but the fuck is he talking about?
I like when it does try to be a little bit more epic, like by opening it up and having echoey vocals like on Caffeine, and when it has more going on in the background. Like I know there's a track later where it just feels more theatrical than you're expecting.
It feels like the totally extreme 90s movie soundtrack that they're trying to get these songs on. You know what I mean? Like
Midlife Crisis, I have written down that you get some random hip-hop sampling, which kind of comes out of nowhere. It doesn't come up a lot. I don't mind it when it does show up. Anything that adds a little bit of depth, I'm for. When I find myself having the biggest issue with almost consistently is your boy, fucking Mike, and his vocal delivery. He's either doing his half-rock rap singing or, in later cuts, trying this scream-like delivery that I'm not here for at all. Like, fast forward a tiny bit to smaller and smaller, the bite, no, I hated that.
I'm coming back smaller and smaller and smaller. Squash me, I'm smaller and smaller and smaller. Under the topsoil, smaller and smaller and smaller. Under the fingernails, smaller and smaller and smaller. Small becomes all.
Like if you've got a shrink kink, Mike, that's your business. You know, I don't necessarily want to hear about it, but you do you. These 3 tracks in a row, Midlife Crisis, RV, and Smaller and Smaller, not a fan of.
Okay, see, I'm actually the opposite when it comes to the RV track. I want to say that
really?
Much. So far as I've been listening to the song, he also does that other voice where he's just kind of like, you know, there's really epic music happening, but he's just kind of talking, and there's not really a melody behind what he's saying.
Like he's doing a fucking like Les Claypool Primus impression.
Right? This motherfucker thinks he Primus, right?
Not nailing it, in my opinion.
No, sir. But RV was such a weird Randy Newmanian sort of level of what he's doing on the track, where he's like do 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 do. It's like in 3/4, and it sounds like it's like swaying to and fro and weirdly light music for what's happening, but it's still making you kind of like uneasy. And he's just kind of like ranting as some like, you know, fat old, you know, drunken hillbilly or something like that. And he's like, nonsense like this. Where are my kids? Probably getting pregnant or on drugs or on welfare and on top of the world or on honor roll or on parole, and I don't know. Like, I kind of appreciated the weirdness and just going all out with what was happening. Like, I couldn't figure out most of the lyrics and I had to look it up and stuff like that, but it was just like, just the fact that it was such a committed aesthetic that he was doing, complaining about his kids, and he's just like, it just sounds like they recorded the ramblings of a drunken man, like, actually, though.
Raleigh's soliloquy from Sublime's Robin the Hood, someone will get that.
Because at the tail end, he goes like, I think it's time I had to talk with my kids. I'll just tell them what my daddy told me. You ain't never gonna amount to nothing. And it was like right as the music ends, ding, 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 ding. It was just so like dark, like, oh fuck.
As far as the music goes, I actually have written down that it reminded me of Mario's underwater level.
You're so right. Do 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 do.
I don't know if it's because we just listened to Nicole Dollenganger last week doing a much better take on white trash America, but
Yes.
from 2, 3, and 4, I thought it was just like step down after step down after step down. Small, pardon the pun, step up for smaller and smaller, but even then I just have written down, nope. After Please Redeem This Album, I was pleading. I was like, I've listened to back in the day full Faith No More albums. None of it really stuck with me, apparently, but I don't remember hating it. So I was like, uh-oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But I do gotta say, I'm just looking at the next few, and I mean, there's nothing really coming from either one of these. Either Everything's Ruined, Malpractice, or Kindergarten.
Malpractice had a cool 7/8 beat with it sounded like Mortal Kombat level music at some point with the bouncy synths they used at one point where they yang, 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 like that was kind of cool. And there was one point where the music relaxes for a second. I think this Malpractice actually might have been my favorite one because this is the one where there was just like shit happening. It's like it's not necessarily cohesive, but like on a track where it feels like it's mattering that this is happening instead of just like a barrage of random lyrics and whatever the hell's going on. You know what I mean? Like it felt like, oh, we're going somewhere and I kind of want to ride with it. And Kindergarten, this was like the song that was like, I feel like this should be my favorite song because it's the most like, this sounds like a single and it sounds the most like this could be about something that people latch onto. But it's like, as soon as you think about it for like a half a second, it's like, what the fuck is he saying? Like, it's not like a Pearl Jam song where it's just like, oh, it's so cryptic. Like, you want to know what he's saying. It's just like, you're listening to it and you're immediately like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? So it's called Kindergarten. And these lyrics sound like they would be deep to like an 8-year-old. And it's like, the hook is like, kingdom, kindergarten, born late, will I graduate? It's like, drinking fountains are shorter than they used to be. The swings on the playground don't even fit me anymore. Folklore!
Malpractice had promise because of the dire and gloomy sounds of the instrumental, but god damn it, if Mike starts screaming, that's when I check out. It never sounds good, in my opinion. But if I gotta say, the next 3, this is when the album gets good, in my opinion. Be Aggressive.
Oh my god.
With its weird cheerleader, shoehorned, be aggressive.
I didn't like that.
Over creepy organ piano. No, man. I actually kind of thought that added something. Maybe it's because I was just wanting something different so bad that it doesn't fit for Faith No More, but it sounded okay on that cut. I also thought A Small Victory was pretty catchy. I thought it went on a bit long.
Yes. Solid enough instrumental. Yeah, I remember the melody and the synth had like this very like freewheeling sort of feel that felt really cool to it, you know what I mean?
And I wasn't the biggest fan of Mike's monotone delivery, another delivery of his that I'm not really thrilled with. But if you ask me,
I know what you're about to say.
Crack Hitler is the star of the show.
God damn it.
This is my clear and away favorite cut.
With the fucking music that sounds like the James Bond Golden Eye, like theme music.
It gives you a funky as hell intro and then hits you with some slap bass. Yo, come on, where have you been this whole time?
Yeah, and it has a slowed down beat, and you hear the crowd going, "Hey, hey, hey!"
Oh fuck! At that switch up with the plodding beat. Oh, yes. Man. And then it just flips a switch and it's back to funk. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Come on now. Then we get the last 3 cuts. I love how we follow Crack Hitler with Jizzlobber.
Oh, just the worst title. No one's going to say their favorite song was Jizzlobber.
You're sitting there. It's 1992, 1993. you copped tickets to see Faith No More live, and they're coming back out on stage for the encore, and you're in the front row. Jizzlobber! Play Jizzlobber! And Mike just gives you a wink, and they kick into Jizzlobber. 6.5 minutes, this cut.
Yeah.
I thought it, I don't think it needed to be that long.
No.
I mean, especially since it fades out at 5.5 minutes. And then it's like church choir.
Yeah, this is the one, where it has the epic organ hits, and I was just like, well, this would have sounded cool a little earlier, and maybe by itself for a while, but it's not worth it to get here.
For me, it felt like this is definitely the last track. It had that kind of feel to me. It's like, we're ending on this. But no, we're not, because we're gonna end instead with 2 cover tracks.
What in the world?
We've got Midnight Cowboy theme from an instrumental with accordion. Okay.
I don't understand. But you know what? I was kind of rocking with it, right?
I dug it.
All right, this sounds like, with the way they're, like, updating it sounds like this is off of a late 80s, early 90s, Batman movie soundtrack, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I'm kind of fucking with this, it's got a solid groove, you know what I mean?
I don't think it needed to be 4 minutes with how repetitive it was, though. Like,
absolutely not.
It was just one thing repeated for 4 minutes. Like,
yeah.
It didn't really change up too much except for a small guitar solo at the end, but it was too late at that point.
Yeah, it didn't, build. And so you're left feeling like, well, what is the point of doing this?
But the cover of Easy by the Commodores, come on.
My God, man.
You didn't like it.
In the world. What in the ever-loving bug? This does not go over easy.
I thought they did a good job on this one.
Oh, no.
I liked it.
We're coming to loggerheads on this one.
I actually enjoyed this one. I was like, hey, they what was that fucking that commercial in the 90s? Every bad boy has his soft side. Fucking monster ballads.
Oh no.
We got the wedding couple, the bride and groom jumping out of the plane with the parachutes. It's awesome! Easy like Sunday morning. Oh, come on!
Yeah, I was listening to this, and first of all, just the piano that plays underneath them, it's so weirdly jerky. It's like someone who had just heard, had seen seen it written down what the piano notes are, but without the elisions to let you know that you're supposed to swing it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just playing this. You guys got it, right? You're gonna build off of that. You know what I mean? So it just started off just at the end with the fucking breakdown. So first of all, this whole time he's been singing and it's kind of like, all right, this singing is so-so. And then he gets to the, I want to be free to know the things I feel are right. I want to be free, just me. Oh, baby. And then does this, which is just slightly too close to the microphone. This is, what the fuck?
I thought it was decent. It was a pleasant surprise, if nothing else.
It was okay, but it just didn't quite stick the landing with the little awkward parts, because it felt like it was like, oh, but this is still rock, so we gotta add a little edge to it, And it's kind of like, I don't know about all that.
And I think there's even a music video for it, so this might have got some airplay on MTV.
Oh my God, I've got to see
I haven't watched
what it looked like when he says,
I think I have an idea. RC, I got a 3. What did you get?
2.5.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Now, though, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, and it's about that time.
And when I say that, it's been a long time since we've reviewed a new album.
That is true.
Did we do all 3 Saturation albums?
We did all 3 Saturations. We did Iridescence.
And Ginger.
Yes, Ginger.
So here we are. We are officially 6 for 6 with Brockhampton, Roadrunner, New Light, New Machine.
I'm going to start off by saying, I hate to say your catchphrase, my man. It was all right, I guess.
Oh, no. See, okay, look.
I'm gonna be that guy again.
No, see, here's the thing. Here is how you are the most non-predictable person. After all three saturations, after iridescence, after ginger, and you were like, nah, man, ginger is exactly what I wanted. This is the fucking Brockhampton I've been waiting all this time for. And then this comes out, and I'm like, oh, well, RC is he's gotta be rocking with this, right? But no! And you know what? I think I know why. Because it is the second album in the, Best Days or Best Years of Our Life trilogy?
Oh, right.
So, even though this followed Ginger, it's a spiritual successor to Iridescence.
But as I listened to, because I went back and I was like, but I love that joint. This sticks out to me. That sticks out to me. This definitely sticks out. You know what I'm saying? Like, going back, like, I haven't even listened to this album in a while, but as soon as I see that title, oh yeah, that melody sticks out to me. Oh yeah, this sticks out to me. So I definitely got love for them when I'm enjoying what they're doing. But yeah, like, I think we had talked about it on the earlier albums. It's like, it just doesn't hit me as hard with what they're doing. And I think it's like, you have to be a lot more personally invested with what they're doing to be more immediately into the stuff. But then I thought about how this album works. The first 3 tracks, there's other people rapping on them that ain't even part of this goddamn 13-member group. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Because I was ready to be like, all right, Brockhampton, yep, you know you got me over with the ginger, so let me hear what else you got. And I'm like, oh, Danny Brown. I mean, okay, all right, I like Danny Brown. Oh, A$AP Rocky again. Okay, what's going on right now? You know, I'm like, where the fuck is everybody? I just want to say this first of all. I just want to start off with this first of all, as someone who, you know, was just really getting into them, like really enjoying them with Ginger. I want to know, where the fuck is Victor Roberts? Where in the fuck is Victor goddamn Roberts? Where the fuck are we getting A$AP Ferg and A$AP Rocky 2 or 3 times on this goddamn? I was just like, the parts that I did like, where are they? Where'd they go?
Well, first of all, I want to address this. There's way more Merlin on this album than we normally get.
True.
Okay,
That's true.
Now, and if we're looking at Brockhampton as almost like a Woo scenario, if you got Victor Roberts as like a Brockhampton affiliate, we trade him out for, I'm not going to say he's a weak link, but I am going to say he has a touch about him that adds an air of kind of genericness to the tracks he's on.
Yeah.
So gone, so flexy.
Yeah, his name is like weirdly like he has a sentence, so it kind of sounds like, oh, he must have something going on. Like he's got a weird name, right? Like
he's okay.
Yeah,
but every time he's on a track, I'm thinking, you know, this could be where we could have got another Dom verse or another Kevin verse or Matt Champion.
Yeah, when I go down, I see Joba's name, and then I see Matt Champion's name, and then I see Merlin. Like I do feel like I'm seeing them more consistently. But as far as like over the album, I feel like they're more consistent. But especially at the beginning, where it's just like one person who's completely not like, I felt like the Wu-Tang Clan again, where I'm just like, with their 3rd and 4th albums in the early 2000s, where it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, I guess Redman and Busta Rhymes and Nas are cool, but that's not what I'm here for. Like, you have them as like a featured guest to add a little flavor to shit, not like, come to this album because look, we've got all these guys, huh?
I personally think that features are something that has been missing from their stuff and we should have had for a while now.
I get what you're saying.
I like the family feel. I like the boy band approach. You know, this is a boy band. They've all got their parts. They've all got their role to play. But I did think that, you know, once I start hearing some guest verses, especially the first cut with Danny Brown, I'm like, I kind of wish we would have got this a bit sooner, because I think it adds a little bit of flavor and depth to it, and maybe it's because it gives it more of a, what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't want to say mainstream. Feel, but a feeling that this isn't in a bubble, that this is actually, you know, something that other people... I mean, we got the fucking music video for Count On Me, and Lil Nas X is in that fucking music video. So it's like, okay, shit's fucking happening, I guess. It's catching people's attention. And it's people, for the most part, that I think fit their their aesthetic. Like Danny Brown on Buzzcut especially.
Danny Brown fits, yes.
But Aesop Rock, I mean Aesop Rocky. Fucking, if Aesop Rock showed up...
holy shit, I'd be like, oh, it's lit.
That might be a different story. Aesop Rocky and Aesop Ferg, I think they did okay. They're not exactly who I'd pick right away, though.
You know what I'm trying to say? That's what I'm saying. Like, if it was like, oh, you know, here comes the Brockhampton album, and Kendrick Lamar's got a verse, fucking make way, the collab we were all waiting for. But Aesop Ferg?
I've got an obvious one for you, and I feel like I said it in a review before. Where's Tyler?
Oh my fucking lord!
We fucking got Jaden on Iridescence for, like, a chorus. Where's Jaden Smith? Where's Tyler Creator? Where's Earl?
Like, and so when I hear these, you know, ASAP Ferg, ASAP Rocky, like, it feels so immediately more to me like, and we're trying to get that mainstream attention, because look at these guys, they make, you know, passable club songs that are just gonna get, you know, on the radio like that, so we got their voices on here, you know, because it doesn't fit, like, and they, like, Brockhampton is a very, you know, honest group at certain points in a way that, like, definitely. Oh yeah, it really pulls you in. But then they have the other songs where it's like, oh, I'm putting my chain on, you know, and it's like, oh, I got my bankroll, and, you know, I can enjoy those too if there's something going on and they're really hitting me with lines. But it's still the sort of level of lyricism where it's just being vulnerable, and the vulnerability is where I can be like, okay, it's not as lyrical, but I'm enjoying what you're saying. But when it's just the braggy rich shit, but you've not really got any punchlines, and it's just talking about how you're gonna order bottles and stuff, it's just like, okay, all right, yeah, I've heard this, okay. You know, like, and that's how I felt like for, I think it was Chain On. Count on Me had a really good fucking hook and melody. Oh, yeah. So I can't like all the way hate on that one. Like, they're always talking about being a boy band, and I don't see where that matches for me, except when they got the hooks that are like, oh, that's a boy band hook right there. Okay, like, yeah, and keep giving me these fucking hooks. I wanted to feel like I'm listening to, you know, a dirty Backstreet Boys album. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that instead of it's just like, oh yeah, we got a clean ass hook, or we're gonna be rapping our real shit. But it feels so much that it's just falling into this generic category. It's just like, oh, really? You just wanted to do, like, one verse from you and one verse from the ASAP Ferg guy? Okay. I mean, maybe it's just gang like that with the ASAP Ferg crew and Brockhampton, but I just don't see it like that. Like, ASAP's crew is more, like, directly flossy dudes, and I guess Brockhampton does that, but you're more here for the brutally honest shit, right? Like...
See, here's the thing. I don't completely disagree with you. There are tracks on here that I will 100% say do fall into a more generic box. Problem is, or difference here is that I guess I just didn't mind it as much, or that I thought the groove was passable enough that I didn't really mind.
Yeah, if you're rocking with the groove enough, then you're just kind of like, all right, because musically they are bringing it in a lot of respects, right? But I just hate it. Like, what was it? Count on Me, ASAP, was it ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ferg? It was one of those songs where it's like, they said ASAP Ferg's name, but with Merlin Wood. But as I was listening to it, I was like, just said Merlin Wood most of the time. He's just doing, like, the ad-lib parts. And then he had the verse, like, second. So I was already kind of salty. I was just like, man, fuck out of here. That was Merlin Wood. He's got more to do, but does he not feel slightly more generic now as well?
Yes.
Like, before he was, little Susan or something over here that, like, freaks it out and makes the track bigger. And that was the energy that I wanted. I'm like, full verse. I want to hear all that craziness in a full verse. And now he's got a full verse, but he's, you know, just kind of, he's not really saying anything too wacky. Like, he gets one verse that's kind of wacky, but, you know, not really as much, you know? It's like, and that's what I said at the end of the ASAP Ferg line where somebody says, ain't talking money, fuck is you saying? I'm non-comprehensive, money finished sentences. No, I ain't sensitive, nigga, just highly offended. And I was like, huh? That's the line you go out on? I'm not sensitive, I'm just highly offended. Boom, hit the hook. Like, what? Like, it was just so weird.
Wood is way more scaled back in his, and I guess his attitude, in exchange for more mic time. Same with Joba. Joba used to be fucking, I'm just gonna scream into a goddamn mic for my whole verse. Now, he's the emotional backbone.
Yeah!
He's the fucking sweet singing chorus dude.
Every time I saw Joba's name, I was just like, oh shit, okay. Like, I had that moment where I had to reassess. It's like, is that the guy that I thought it was? I guess not.
It's like, we still have Bareface, But
Yes.
Joba was doing a lot of the Bareface work. Bareface only showed up like once or twice on the album, and I thought it was alright, but...
It definitely shines, but it ends up feeling like, I thought you were supposed to... I thought you were the hook guy. Like,
he was the Frank Ocean.
Right.
He was like the standout, clear in a way. I'm the actual thing that makes this whole thing feel like a boy band compared to everything else.
Between him and Kevin Abstract, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. But yeah, compared to the first half, the whole second half, for me, isn't nearly as memorable. They really do front load this thing with both the features and I think the bangers offhand. Bankroll, Count on Me, the fucking light. We didn't even talk about the goddamn light.
Oh my
yet.
god, the
Ooh,
light.
man. Buckle up for the light. Holy shit. That's the Nicole Dollanganger. If you're not mentally prepared, this one's going to take you on a goddamn journey with some very sensitive topics on that one.
Oh my lord.
Joba and Kevin Abstract giving you some...
good here. Kevin is so fucking solid this whole album, man.
Yeah, Kevin really doesn't slip. And I'll honestly say, no one slips. If anything, they just get a little less interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone does a bad job, though.
They're not whack. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They're not whack. It's just, it feels like not enough is, what is it? Personality is really pushing them forward in a way that I felt that before, where it's like, even if I didn't necessarily like it, like, I still am noticing it and having no choice but to notice it. Now I feel more like it's like, I could not notice it. I think Windows was one of my favorite joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where Merlin came back in, yeah. And he said, honestly, wouldn't fly a Melbourne chick to Sydney. All of these bars bought chains, prison industry. America did my people foul, then gave me a shot for free while I watch Washington's wooden teeth and her booty cheeks.
What the fuck?
So out there, and it's just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but that's Merlin. You know? Oh yeah, it was right when he said all of these bars bought chains, prison industry, and I think that's where it cut off and you heard people go Merlin, go Merlin.
Yeah. I love
Merlin.
that. Go so unenthused, just moaning in the background.
Oh, and Don McClellan was definitely dope on this one as well.
I feel like if you know, you know, and Dom is always just gonna be the fucking show stealer.
Right.
Even if everyone else fucking ups their game and brings it, Dom is always gonna be that one step ahead. Becoming a staple of Going Off. It feels like he shows up more than anyone these days. This guy shows up on more episodes of Going Off currently than Childish Gambino did in our early days.
In the early...
Fucking Charlie Wilson is on every goddamn album, it feels like.
That's true. He's on the Tyler, the Creator album.
Tyler, God, it's so hard to remember all of them, but...
I know there's another
Amine.
One. Yeah. Yes, because they ripped my flowers to my six. Yeah.
It's always that same kind of dust that Charlie sprinkles on a track, and he always kind of does the same thing. You more or less just could have had a Charlie Wilson sample that you just play.
See, okay, that's how I felt about this one in particular. Like, I felt I didn't even notice him until the end where it faded out and you specifically hear his voice. I was like, oh, hey.
We hear him going, "Whoa."
Yeah, and I think...
That's his thing.
Yeah, I think Snoop Dogg revived his career in the early 2000s.
Oh.
Like, getting him as a hook man was like, oh, here's a respectable R&B guy. You know, we need to throw him some love. And yeah, you're so right. It does gotta be like, he does the same thing.
It's not a bad thing he does.
Yeah.
It's just always kind of the same warble.
Yeah.
I liked the catchy, What's the Occasion?
What's the Occasion had a solid ass hook. Again, another like, okay, that sounds like boy band shit. And it had that whirring synth in it too that comes up one or two times here that just clicks something together enough to make it sound like, oh, now that sounds like we're grooving on some shit right now. You know what I mean? And
they don't do it a lot, but I do like when they do the pitched up vocals. Like, just add something different.
Oh, when Yolandi Visser comes through.
Dear Lord was the Bareface solo cut. Oh
my fucking Lord indeed.
With the fucking gospel. Oh man.
Oof. Only complaint is that it didn't go on longer.
It was a very short track. I thought it was impactful, and it might not have been if it was a bit longer. But
I get
yeah, I'm always down for longer tracks from them.
So okay, I'm gonna get to my praise for the ending in a second, but I just want to go off a little bit on the "Don't Shoot Up the Party."
I figured we'd get there eventually. Yeah,
a song that I feel like I wanted to like more, but it felt like
Yeah.
it just wasn't 100% cohesive with what was happening.
yeah, I'm with you.
Like, Kevin Abstract starts off with a verse that at first I thought was a little bit more random, but then the more I like looked into it, it was like, oh, he's not just like, because the verse starts off with like, all American self-hatred runs deep, white boys all I see whenever I sleep. And when I first heard that, I was like, oh, he's talking about like, you know, just like a bunch of skinhead dudes, and he's having the dreams of, you know, these races. But then I listened again, he's like, oh, he's talking about being gay and like really liking white boys.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, I mean, all right. Took away a little bit of the bite that I was trying to get. But, you know, and so like, I mean, I guess that makes the next lines make a little bit more sense. I guess where he's just like, niggas think I think these thoughts on purpose, but I knew about NSYNC 4 Cash could rule me. You know, that's him saying like, oh, I knew about NSYNC before the Wu-Tang Clan, you know? Later on, it's like, he's like, colonized minds by masters and slaves. They both hate niggas that like niggas the same. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got you. And then the homophobic, I tried to gang bang. I tried to get laid. I tried to get paid. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm not like fully fun. It's like dancing around this commentary that he's like trying to do, you know? And then it gets to, don't shoot up the party. Don't shoot up the party. I'm like, oh, who's he talking to now?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How do we get here?
Yeah, and like I could at least get it a little bit. Well, I could have gotten it more if he was talking about like racist white dudes, like, oh, don't shoot up the party. But it's like, well, I like men, so don't shoot up the party because I'm, you know, don't be homophobic. I guess, like, I guess, you know, I'm trying to pull that together. I think I'm pulling these strands together to make connections here. But then the second verse has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's just flexing and barely has any punchlines, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just, so it's just like, all right, well, now I'm just lost, and it doesn't feel like we're going anywhere. And for a song that feels like it's just kind of like, you know, like this verse seems to be like, oh, it's just fun and we're just bullshitting and talking. But then the hook is, don't shoot up the party! Don't shoot up the party! I'm like, oh, what's happening? Is something supposed to happen?
I feel like if you've got a song called Don't Shoot Up the Party, you gotta remember it. You know, like, you don't waste a title like that on a track that's ultimately, you know, just kind of there. I felt that same way about When I Ball. It wasn't my favorite cut, but I thought it was nice.
That was another one that was like, this one sounds cool. And then, yeah, I remember being like, why is it called When I Ball? Because it's not about that at all, actually. I watched uncles going on vacation for a couple of years. When they came back, they needed clothes and had no souvenirs. And him just like, you know, being a kid, like, you know, they're lying to, you know, him was like, well, they can't tell our, you know, nephews and kids going, you know, our uncles going to jail. That's too dark of a story. And like figuring it out naturally for yourself, like, oh, this is what life is like around me. You know, like, I love that they put that in there. And then Matt Champion, he had some cool ass fucking, just visual imagery when he was talking about like dark morning with the fog pouring in and out the trees. Every movement through the eyes seemed to zoom at light speed. Like, I just love that fucking shit. And he said, she lost one stillborn tragedy, gritting her teeth down to the root, pain like a cavity. Ooh, that was fucking dope.
I ended up feeling stronger and enjoying this album more than Ginger, but not as much as Iridescence. Like, with Iridescence, they flew out to Abbey Road, and it was their big debut. You know, like, if you fucked with them on the Saturation albums, they were more chaotic, not very structured. They were just kind of like, here's all the tracks, we got to fit them in here. You know, it's just tracks they're recording themselves whenever they have time, and they put them together, and if it works together, it, you know, but you don't know if you're really supposed to be listening to it as a whole or just as individual tracks. I
get you. Yeah, it's coming together and you're hearing like the force of all of these creative ideas, and this is the product that spools out of them.
And then the whole Amir Van thing happens, and Iridescence is them really focusing on using everything they can with being at Abbey Road, having the space, having like the choir and the orchestra there to really pump up the tracks and make them feel full. Ginger was when they took a step back and were like, hey, we really weren't able to process the Amir feelings on that last album, so we're going to be doing that a little bit here.
Oh, yeah.
But with this album, I don't really know what to say about it. Like when they were releasing the technical difficulty singles last year, I even said on the show, like, I wasn't really fucking with them. Like, they didn't really hit me. And it just felt like I guess they're back to doing just what they want. And that's where the features come in. Like, hey, here's the people we want on here. We were able to get some friends to hop on tracks. And The Light 2 is another great track. The fucking Part 1 and Part 2, both really great. You get a lot of songs that kind of remind me of songs that didn't hit me very well on the Saturation albums because they're a little directionless. They are just kind of flossing and flexing. And it's like, if you like their style and like their attitude, that could be enough to get you through. But if you're listening to what's being said, there's not a whole lot of substance there. I ended up walking away with a 3.5.
I gave it a 3 out of 5, yeah.
Like, I definitely will be revisiting this one. Like I said, probably more than Ginger. But, like, definitely not listening the whole way through. I can't say that I would be. I'm definitely skipping some tracks.
Yeah, and I do want to give the props to, just to make sure to double back and give the props to The Light Part 2 that we should be giving, because holy shit, that track was fucking epic. You know, writing music in general and making these, like, you ever think about that when you look up on Genius and see, like, ooh, Kevin Abstract dealt with this, and here's this song telling you about it. There's an element of it that feels like, oh man, you don't have to tell me all this. This is kind of, this is kind of heavy, you know? Like, there's that certain element, but then there's the element when we were like, but the fact that you, like, want to, the fact that you want to, like, this is in my brain and I need to put this in music. Like, that's what makes you really just go like, holy fuck, like, I respect what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah when you hear the song before, and the song before is Bareface singing, basically, like a fucking, I don't want to say like a requiem, but just like just a prayer to be like, hey, you know, just saying to the Lord, please let my friend be able to get through this, you know, right, and please let him be guided. And it was just like so sweet and so earnest that you're just like, oh my fucking God. And then getting into The Light where, you know, it is Joba on the track doing the whispering part. And at first it was like, what's going on? But then where you pay attention, you're like, the light is worth the wait, I promise. Wait, why did you do it? And it's like that sort of, and you know what I'm saying?
I didn't mention either that Ryan Beatty, who showed up on Ginger to provide some choruses, also showed up on here. And according to Genius, Shawn Mendes is on Count on Me.
Oh, whoa. I can see that, though.
I'm guessing it's during the chorus. Because
definitely.
It just sounds like layered vocals and...
Yeah, it sounds like just slightly, like, bigger. And I could imagine, like, oh, there's one more person that I'm not used to hearing that's kind of singing on this right now. Yeah.
He could just kind of get lost. Almost like when we did the Atmosphere album, and it was like, oh, Lizzo's in this cut. I'm like, I don't know if I believe you.
Adele, too, yeah. She's walked by the studio.
Hey, you know, Kevin Abstract was always talking about Harry Styles. He's on the track. Like, all right. I already liked it enough. You don't gotta lie to me. But that about does it for this week's episode of Going Off. Big thanks for checking us out this week and spending your time with us. Hanging out. It means a lot to us. And if you want to request an album to be reviewed like we did at the top of the show, head on over to our Ko-fi. There are still some spots left. That is ko-fi.com/goinoff. That's GOINOFF for the price details and everything else you need to know. It's all on the page. You could read up on there. For all of our other links, our socials, we got our link trees in the description for our Twitter, Patreon, individual Ko-fi pages, Twitch, anything else we got going on. All the links can be found there. What else you got going on right now? Things that you might want to give a shout out for?
Oh, well, of course, it's always my Twitch streams that I like doing now and again. You know, we're going through the billboard. We just got through 99, so we're going into 2000 now.
Oof. Catching up fast.
That's right. And what else I do? Oh, yeah, of course, review a new podcast. I'm actually about to do a review of a recent movie with a special guest. What is that movie? Judas and the Black Messiah. So yeah, I'm gonna be actually recording that one tomorrow. So and it's a heavy one. So
Okay.
So let's see how that goes.
A little bit of a change of pace.
Yeah.
And if you're subscribed to the Riff Comms page, we got Riff Comms or Riff Break coming every Friday. Not always on time, but you'll get them eventually. I try to have them scheduled by 2 p.m. Sometimes they're a little later. It is what it is. But until next time, for Going Off, I'm Mues.
And I'm the Rap Critic, and we're like ink and paper, numbers on a calculator, knew arithmetic so well, working over in time, completed what was assigned, we had to multiply ourselves.
What a shithead.